Welcome back to the Alchemist Nation podcast. My name is Walter Morello. This is a real estate podcast. We travel all across the country and we speak to professionals who are moving up, moving forward. Many of them are millionaires, multimillionaires. And today we've got a very special guest who actually builds millionaires. His name is Troy Aberle. Troy, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Walter. I really appreciate the opportunity to be on this show with you today.
So Troy, I think I've told you and you've seen part of my mission is to build 100 millionaires, right? 100 millionaires who are inspired to build 100 millionaires. So I leverage this podcast as a very, we'll say, a selfish way for me to find great entrepreneurs who can give great feedback to people who are listening. The idea is if somebody listening hears the one piece of advice that moves them forward, gets them out of their shell and gets them to get their goals, then I've been successful. So Troy, you're a part of that experiment. What would you say was the first thing that drew you to Tony Robbins? And then what drew you ultimately to Bob Proctor, who was your mentor, who you actually still work for or work with in his passing? You're still selling his programs. What is it that drew you to him initially?
For Tony Robbins, the big thing was learning that where focus goes, energy flows. And when I heard that quote from Tony, it just blew my mind. And now it's, I think a lot of people have heard it, but when you really sit down and think about and grab a pen and paper today and really figure out what frequency are you on, what are you doing, and really listen to what's happening and where your focus really is going is where, a lot of things that you're getting in your life or the outcomes is because of what you're focused on. And that's really what got me intrigued with Mr. Robbins. And, I dedicated a lot of time to making sure that I studied everything I could possibly study. And that's really what initially changed my life from, I would say, the average 90% of people into the top 10%.
I like it. And I love that you've gone and looked and said, okay, like where I am is the top 10%. And that's where you want to bring other people, right? Like your mission is all about helping. It's all about expanding. So Tony Robbins was the entry level for you. What drew you from Tony Robbins from, what you focus on expands to Bob Proctor? What was that journey? What did that look like?
Great question. For me, learning from Tony, it created a lot of opportunities and a lot of things that I had to shift and be able to figure out, what are my fears, what are my doubts or limiting beliefs, but being able to say, you know what, I'm successful now, but there's this other vision that I'm not sure how to clarify it and get there. And that's where, you can say, yes, I'm in the top 1% of earners in Canada, but how do I get into, the top 0.5%, or how do I keep growing even more? And so what I really had to do is I had to figure out how to repicture that new image in my head. But there was something blocking it that was called paradigms, which Bob teaches as a multitude of habits and beliefs. And that was what was blocking me. I only could picture earning X amount of dollars. But if I wanted to earn, that next level of what I could see and what it was going to do for me, I needed to be able to really figure out the things that were blocking that from happening and be able to implement the mindset and the strategies and the habits and actions to put it all together. Combining his stuff with Tony was perfect. In between there, I was already developing programs that from people I'd learned, whether it be Brendan Burchard or Robert Kiyosaki, Chet Holmes, and putting all this together, I was coming up with things that were creating a brand new chapter in my life. And I was teaching people how to create and live chapter 2, which I still do. But it's way easier when you can, teach the mindset and the strategies and all of the things that these exceptional leaders have taught me. I live by 3 words, learn, execute, and inspire.
I love that.
So thank you.
Talk about it all the time. I say, learn it, do it, teach it, learn it, do it, train it, learn it, do it, automate it. You say, learn it, do it,
learn it, execute, and inspire. So, right. I mean, I'm always learning, I'm always executing, and I'm always trying to inspire. And if you don't, you can learn a lot. People read and read and read all day. Just start. My 12-year-old son, his quote is just start. Get out there, do it, start executing, start screwing up, start winning, right? There's no perfect way, but whatever is going to work for you. Get surrounded by really good people that are going to keep you on the frequency that you need to be on to deliver the types of products or results on that same frequency.
Troy,
and that's where Bob was able to show me that.
I love that you mentioned your son. So this is something that I don't know that I've expressed this enough, but part of my mission is, I think I've executed perfectly when it comes to minorities, right? Anybody who's a minority, getting them into real estate. But then I started shifting over to getting women into real estate, like pulling them and saying, hey, look, women have probably a better advantage to invest than men because they're not going to pick up the hammer. Like they know to just communicate with each other. And now what you've done is gone a whole step further, and you're encouraging kid entrepreneurs, right? Like child
Mhm.
entrepreneurs, and starting with your son, who actually has his own business. Your son's 12 years old, and I saw him on the mastermind the other night. What made you say, wow, my son can actually go and make a living right now?
Because there's no age that you can start, or that you should wait till you start. If you look at how most people in the 90% are working, you go to school till you're 18 years old. You might get a little part-time job, and your parents say go, cut grass, do papers or whatever. I mean, that's all great. That's what I did, and my kids still do that. But what usually then happens is try to figure out, they go to college for a little bit. If everything works out okay, they do finish it, but quite often it's not the kind of education that still allows them to understand business and how to earn money. We teach things all the way from 0 to grade 12 and past, but there's never been a way to earn money. You learn how to work. And yes, there's the great paying jobs and doctors and engineers and all the lawyers, all kinds of things. It's great. And there's great trades jobs. There's all kinds of things they're going to do very well, but it's just a job. The part when you really understand business and you understand how to earn money and trade value and be able to add value to things, and then being able to sell it, and be rewarded for that financially, is what's going to change your life and
Uh,
make you have, or sorry, not make you, enable you to have more freedom as a family. The thing is with us, I knew the things that were limiting me, and the mindset that came from my parents and my grandparents, all that. It was just, work hard, get a job, and rework 2, 3 jobs at a time, and we worked hard. We had a farm and oil and gas business, and all this stuff was doing well. And my mom worked tirelessly as a nurse. And the thing was with my kids was I wanted them to learn everything about how to do all the mechanical things, of course. But however, rather than just watching TV or reading books that didn't matter, Luke was reading the Millionaire Success Habits when Dean Graziosi, which is also a great real estate investor. He's a good friend of ours, and and Luke took his book to school, I think, when he was 8 years old, and was reading it at recess. So you don't have to force this on your kids, but you have to empower them to show them that, hey, can you envision a life like this? What do you see? And what do most parents do today? And this is what happened to you already. I know this because it's just how it works. Is you had a picture in your mind that something you wanted to be. Then your parents said, well, but just be careful, because you can do that after, when you do this, because they didn't get to do it. So they're trying to protect you.
I wanted to be in
No,
a band. I wanted to be on stage, Troy.
right. And let me guess. Somebody told you weren't going to make enough money, right?
That's true.
So there you go. So it's so easy. It's not even fair. So what you want to do is, you want to say, okay, how can I be in a band? How can I live the life of my dreams? And you know what? Maybe you don't have all the other things that, because of money, or you figure out how to monetize the band to the point where it becomes a tool for a lot bigger things, right? And so the big thing is we live and breathe Tony and Bob in our home, and we changed our kids to homeschool. I'm not saying you have to do that, because there's not a lot of parents that works for. But
I was
what we do,
homeschooled, just so you know.
I like doing way more now. But so what's cool is we teach Tony's programs and Bob's programs right in homeschool. So I'm
Perfect.
saying, just the information's out there right now. You can go look at the Mark Cubans or the Warren Buffetts or the Dean Graziosis or Tony's or whoever. This stuff is all out there. Implement that into your family, because by you practicing that right now with your children, here's what's really cool. You teach your kids right now how to go and invest in real estate. And here's the coolest part. By you teaching them, you're not going to want them to screw up. So you're going to learn from the best people to get them surrounded by, right? So here's what's going to happen. You picture in your mind that I want each one of my kids, by the time they turn 18, to own 5 doors each. So what do? You're going to figure out how to make sure those 5 doors are profitable, cash flowing doors, and everything's working fine. So what are you going to do? You're going to be training yourself and your kids at the same time to, now, if you got 3 kids, you got 15 doors, right? And now you've already created 3 real estate moguls. And by the time those kids
Yes.
turn 30, if you have done everything in the world that you should have, by the time, if they got those 5 doors, and when they're 15, and when in 15 years, if they still have them or they flipped them, they should be completely free and clear for cash flow. Technically, they'll never have to work again, just from that activity alone.
Yeah, buy a house a year. That's my strategy. Buy a house a year, and every year just buy a bigger house. It's easy.
Right?
Imagine if you do that for 10, 15 years and you're 30 years old. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Well, people ask even, how can you buy more than one house? I said, did you buy your first house? Yes. We'll do that 15 more times.
It's simple. It
Right.
really is that simple. We get a little more
Yeah.
creative on the financing side as you keep going, but it's the same process of identify a deal and finance the deal and then manage the deal. So Troy, this process, I think, is obvious. Like, it seems obvious to you, but it doesn't seem obvious to other people. I know me personally, I've read over 350 books and I've gone through all the trainings and the courses and the programs. And I've been using this personal development my whole life. Not my whole life, I'd say the last 7 years. And I've come to the same conclusion. You're actually doing it though, right? Like, I've thought the same thing and said, man, like, if I just taught what's in these books, any kid that listens would be a multimillionaire by the time they're 30 years old, maybe 25, maybe 20 years old, right? Like, your son, he's 12 years old. He started his first business. He's actually built a marketing business and he's got
Mm.
clients that he's serving. And he's also helping you with your marketing now, obviously.
Yeah.
So
Like he works for a national company. It's crazy, but that because there's no limitations.
yeah,
So get on the right frequency. That's the thing you got to do. And so, here's what you got to do today is you got to be able to start off with this process. You got to be able to picture what you want. And I mean, and get obsessed about it. If you want a certain house, or you want to have a certain body, or you want to have a certain spouse or partner, kids, holidays, when's the last time half of us have went on a vacation, right? Somewhere you
well,
really
every
wanted to
day
go.
for me is a vacation, Troy. I live
I
in
know.
Tampa now.
And I love Tampa, that. But it's but a lot of people aren't able to travel. They don't have money. They don't have certainty.
Right.
There's six human needs. I teach a lot around the six human needs. They don't have that stuff. And
If somebody's not studied Tony Robbins or listened to the six human needs, are you able to drop those from memory?
oh yeah, easily. Certainty is the first one. You need to be certain of the outcome that you're working on. You need variety. I go into this way deeper if someone wants to reach out, but I know our time's limited, but variety or uncertainty, you have the desire, the want to see new things, try new things, and whatnot. A lot of people don't fulfill that need, but the number three is significance. What you do matters. You have to matter to somebody, and you got to matter to yourself. Remember that first. Remember to be significant for yourself. Number four is relationships, love, connection. People need to have somebody in their life. Even the worst people in the world still have that need. That's just how it is. Number five is the need for growth. Number six is, and if you're not growing, you're dying. And in between is really boring. And unfortunately, 95% of us in the Western civilization are in that spot. But contribution is number six. The more times you contribute to helping other people meet their six human needs, you'll fulfill all your own naturally. And that's what changed my entire life. That's what changed. I've been able to sell over $400 million worth of products and services now. And the reason why is because learning how to help people meet their six human needs. And so
I love that.
yeah, and when you can do that, you can't lose, right? And I challenge that all day long, and I help people do this. But the thing is when you can get into handle your emotional things, and you can picture exactly what you want to achieve. Now you can communicate that with everybody else, and we can figure out the roadblocks. Because I can already tell you, you'll picture something, but then you're gonna have doubt. Then you're gonna have limiting beliefs. You're gonna have what we call the terror barrier in our thinking into results program. And we can already help you alleviate that before. So if we know where we're driving to, if we're going from Tampa to Houston, and we know that there's going to be construction, I can already tell you where you're going to have construction. You're going to be prepared, right? But if
Yeah.
you don't know, you're going to call me in a couple of days. You're going to complain because they had to go through construction, right? And so for me, being able to take people through the thinking and results program is the key, because we can get the vision, we can get the goal, we can get exactly what that looks like in your mind, but then we can go into the science behind all the things that need to happen, how to affect your conscious mind, which is through your sight, what you see, what you hear, what you eat, what you touch, what you smell, all the senses that are affecting that, and be able to apply that through to your conscious mind and be able to get results that are unimaginable. And that's what we do. That's what I enjoy doing, is helping people get their goals. And when you do that for yourself and master that, go teach your family that. Go teach your partners and business that, and your clients. And when you can help people really truly get whatever they want, it's a win-win.
It's a premise of the 100 millionaires. If we can inspire enough people to build their own wealth, I know vicariously they're going to go and help other people because it's just part of the process. And you're an instrument of doing it. So if I were to ask you, because you've helped and studied and you've trained a lot of people in your coaching programs over the years, what do you find is the biggest thing that stops people from even thinking about making that million? What is that roadblock that would stop somebody from jumping into a program that is guaranteeing you'll become a millionaire in 3 to 5 years if you come through and follow this process? What do you think is the biggest roadblock for people who know it's possible if they sign up for something, but still don't?
It's their story. A lot of people try to tell you it's fear. You can't even fear something if you don't know what it is that you're fearing. Your story, if you only are applying for jobs that pay 40K a year, you'll only ever look for 40K a year. The frequency that you're tuned into, if you're eating McDonald's and you're listening to people that only make 40K a year and you're only applying for 40K a year, and you don't want to own a building and you don't want to do, teach your kids, because you don't know any of this, right? It's just, but when you really dive in, you look at what you want as the outcome. You need to change your story. Instead of, well, I make $40,000 a year. No, you need to say it. No, I'm so happy and grateful that I make $150,000 a year, and this is what I do, right? And I own 3 properties, and my kids have small businesses, and these are the things you do. You change your frequency, up that vibe. When your story is from a place of limitations, you will have limitations. When your story is from a place of abundance and passion and inspiration and focus into something that's uncomfortable and scary and makes your back sweat, that's what a goal is.
I know the back sweat. I think I wake up every day with that.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're in humid Florida, but the truth is a goal should be really uncomfortable.
You're talking about the big audacious hairy goals, right?
Totally. If I had worked with a lady, craziest story in the world. This lady, nowhere in the world would she ever make this amount of money without asking for it. And a friend of ours, Mark Victor Hansen, he has a book, Ask, and
The
it's
book
so
just
funny.
came out, and Mark Victor
Yeah,
Hansen was just on our podcast. Go check out the episode.
nice. I love Mark, great guy. Him and Crystal, they did a phenomenal job in that book. But you tie that in with your vision, and you start asking the right questions, you'll get there. And I had a girl, she's 23 years old, where I got her to go from, she was making 55K a year. She wanted to make 60. I'm like, that's not a goal. I can't coach you if you want to make $5,000 more, right? I can go, I don't know, work at the drugstore for $5,000. That's easy. So we came up with the goal. She agreed, 110K a year. Okay. So it's completely double of what she is. So I said, stop applying for these jobs in your company. She loves the company, keeps applying for the job with the same 60 grand. Went to talk to the people that she needed to, asked them what she has to do to make $110,000 a year. Well, first thing I think they wanted to say is be a man, because that's the guys that are making it. But get this. So they completely thought this thing through with her, figured out everything to a T. She'll make 110,000. She's guaranteed $110,000 a year now. This is a month after asking.
Nice.
And she's making $110,000 a year. And the funny thing is her bonus program's probably going to get her another 15.
Nice.
And she's not doing anything different than what she was, other than she's more aligned now with her goal, and her strategies, her habits, and all those things now are going to be able to get her there.
It's so true, Troy. People have asked me, hey, what can I do for you? What can I do for you? What can I do for you? But they're asking the wrong question. The real question is, well, how much do you want to make? Right? How much do you want to make? And then are you willing to do this for me? Because I'll pay you. It's just, you've got to go and take these action steps and make that much value happen for me. And I think every employer is willing to have that conversation if you're willing to put it up forward, right? Go and say, hey, I'm going to go do this and prove that you can deliver on it. And if you could do that, an employer has no reason not to pay, because you've created value for them. You've gone and taken yourself to that next level. That's a phenomenal answer. I think just most people just aren't asking. Most people don't want that larger number.
Well, and if your employer isn't listening to you or isn't interested in having that conversation, get out, because that's the 90%, right? So just leave. Just immediately get up and say thank you for your time, and then go apply for if you love what you're doing, go apply for your competitor then, and tell them why you want to leave and why you're going to work for them. And if you're going to increase their revenue and do this and this and this, what's it going to do? And if they see the opportunity and they believe in you, then that's when it's pure gold.
That's the
But
truth
you've
of it,
got to
man.
get around people.
If somebody doesn't see your opportunity, go find somebody who does.
Yeah.
And the other side is just add value, right? Like every company wants one thing. They want to expand their mission and their money. They want it. It's
Yeah.
the bottom line. A company has to focus on its bottom line. If you can find a way to make more money for a company will pay you. And if one company doesn't pay you what you deserve, go to the next company. But you've got to add enough value, and they will pay you. It's how the market works. So, Troy, what is a way somebody could get in contact with you if they want to learn more about coaching with you or learning some of your processes and systems? What is the website or contact information I could give somebody?
Go to coachtroy.ca. I don't have a .com for that one yet, and it's just because it wasn't available for an affordable price.
You're
So
going to
I'm
tell me that Coach Troy wasn't available?
right.
A
No,
badass
it's
domain.
available.
I'd be offended if that was
Yeah.
a $25
So
domain.
yeah, so that'll explain the thinking the results program that I do. You can also go into Facebook or social media, do the Coach Troy as well, or Troy Aberle, TroyAberle, and you can definitely hook me up there. You know what? Honestly, I don't care. Here's my cell phone number: 403-580-6263. I mean,
You're nuts.
text me, and no, hey, you know what? If I'm on such a mission right now, Walter, that I am going to serve a lot of people. I want to be the top performing consultant in Bob Proctor's company, and so the only way I can do that is by making sure that people have access to me. I'm not one of these people where you got to go through agents and secretaries and receptionists. No, you text me, and it might take a couple days, whatever, but I will get back to you and we'll figure it out. But I'm going to get to your goals. But
Troy,
I
I
work
love
with
it.
people from solopreneurs, real estate investors, realtors, and just people in your industry, accountants, lawyers, photographers, anything real estate. But I also deal with people that are, in large companies, help with teams. If you have a team event, that you wanted me to do my Thinking the Results program for, I'll do that for you too. But we work one-to-one. We also have a group that we're just starting a new group here on Tuesdays at 6 o'clock Mountain, 8 o'clock Eastern. You can be a part of that group, and or I can do corporate events for you too.
Troy, very cool, man. Yeah, when it comes to the cell phone, I don't pass mine out anymore, and I'm about helping people, but I'm like, you got to go through the funnel and show up at one of these events where I'll answer questions for you,
Mm-hmm.
because the texting was taking me, we'll say, 4 to 6 hours a day of responding back to messages on all the different platforms, and it's not moving me forward. I'm not able to move the mission forward, so I had to take that and say, okay, I'm gonna probably hire somebody to manage all my messages so that I can keep going and doing this. And the fact that you put out your cell phone, man, I love it. Like, Troy, you got guts, brother. You are looking to help a lot of people.
Yeah, it's a really fast process. You're going to text me, right? 403-580-6263. And what happens is I'm going to text you back. I'm going to set up a time to meet up with you. And if you're interested in meeting, if you don't show up, that's okay. But if you do show up, guess what? I can promise you a year from now, your life will be very different.
I love that. That's the message of a champion. So, Troy, since you are a champion, if you could go back in time to 20-year-old Troy Aberle and give yourself three pieces of advice, what three pieces of advice would you give a young entrepreneur who's 20 years old, or maybe 12 years old, right? Like your son coming
Mhm.
out of the gate. What three pieces of advice would you give them to get you to where you are, happier, more successful, and with more money in your pocket?
Get onto Canva or a magazine and start cutting out pictures of things that are in your wildest dreams. Put that on a vision board, right? And then show that vision board to a lot of people that are on the same frequency and that believe in you, right? And number three, just start executing.
Start
Yeah.
executing. Now, start executing. You mean start executing on number one and two?
Yeah.
That's
Sorry.
it.
So you're gonna envision it with your vision board. Get it in your mind so you live and breathe that vision board. Carry it to work, carry it to the washroom. I don't care what you do. But if you want a private jet, you put a private jet on there. If you want a house beside a lake, you do that. Or you want to go on a holiday to Florida and come see my buddy Walter, then that's what you put on there. But number two is you get surrounded with people who see your vision and want to be a part of your vision, and that they want to help you. Get around mentors. Invest in yourself with those mentors. If it costs you 20 grand, it costs you 20 grand, right? But invest. If I wish I'd have invested in myself at a higher level way back before, right? Honestly, I've put in already of like, oh, my wife and I figured out probably $180,000 in mentors and coaches. But
You beat
that's the
me. I'm
value
around 130 right now, so you're a little ahead.
But you got to. If you can invest in yourself, that's what's going to set you apart. If you want to be in the 90% group, do that. But the third thing is just get your butt off the couch and go. Just do it.
I love
right?
it.
Success leaves clues. Get surrounded with people who leave those clues. Hire someone. Get going. Let's go.
Troy, you are what we call an alchemist. An alchemist is somebody who transforms themselves to a higher level to be able to do more, to create more. And then an alchemist is also somebody who transforms others so that they can get to that higher level. Thank you so much for being on the podcast, man. Like, I've gotten so many great tidbits. That last few minutes, I think alone was fire. We appreciate you. Cheers. Thank you, man.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you. You betcha.
And for everybody
Bye,
listening,
everybody.
when you have a choice, always work with the best.